Good day and welcome to the Automotive Society Podcast. My name is Siraj and today I'm joined by Alex.
Yeah, hello.
Hello.
We're back.
We are. Welcome to the podcast. If you haven't been here before, we just talk about everything to do with cars and random shenanigans that we've been up to.
I feel like we have a lot of random shenanigans though. Hey?
More shenanigans, less cars. That's what we talk about. That's mainly it.
Yeah, I think here we talk about cars generally, right?
Yeah.
Shenanigans. And I think everybody likes a good rant.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like we rant a lot, don't we?
Oh, I think you rant a lot. No,
I've got to that age.
I definitely rant.
No, actually, I've got to that age, right, where I feel like I rant.
Okay, now we're ranting about ranting. Anyway, the
Anyways,
point is, our information is all opinions, not facts. So please don't fact check us and don't tell us if we're wrong. If we're wrong, we're wrong. If we're right, yeah, congratulate us in the comments. Anyway, welcome to the podcast. And today's episode, we are more going to talk about the regrets of buying and selling cars. Now, Alex has been through a few cars. I can say You've been through a lot. I've been through a fair few. So why don't we touch on what we've had and what we regret selling or don't regret selling?
I must admit, I was sort of dreading this episode a little bit.
Really?
Yeah, because it's going to bring back memories and I'm going to feel sad that I sold. Cry? No, I'm not going to go that far.
Do you need a tissue?
Just in case, maybe.
Oh,
I'll be honest.
We didn't prepare for this.
You
should have told us.
You know me, I was very emotionally attached to some of my cars.
Yeah. I think almost every car, except for one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every single car I've made a good choice on, and I fell in love with them.
Except for one.
Yeah, apart from the one.
Which we picked up in the middle of the night from middle of nowhere.
Oh, no, I liked that car. No, sorry, I was thinking about the last one.
You liked that car?
What?
You liked it?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, we'll get to that.
Anyways.
Where do we start? Okay, I'm going to mainly talk about regrets, I think, at the start. Off the bat, some cars that I regret selling. R33 Skyline. I had a GDR. In Midnight Purple. The Midnight Purple was a little bit faded, so it wasn't the greatest, but I had it for, I think, a week and 2 days or something.
Before you unsold it.
Yeah, before I unsold it. Definitely regret that one. All it had was a broken clutch, and I repaired the clutch on it, which was fairly cheap, and then I just sold it.
Car I regret not buying, R32 GDR. I got offered one for $19,500.
$19,500. This is Australian dollars too, so like US dollars, that would be $12,000.
Which is like the most annoying thing because, look, I was 17. I was still on my P's, like just about to get off in a couple months. Hence the reason I was like prepping for that period of time.
Yeah, and
I was so stupid. Like, think about this, right? The car was imported from Japan by a guy I know here. He spent a $5,000 like all flush, all polyurethane bushings. Like he spent so much time and money and effort into it. I knew the guy was immaculate with the car. I knew he never thrashed it. I knew he always got it serviced every 6 months and I still said no.
Why'd you say no?
Because at the time I just didn't love it. And I was only thinking emotionally. I was like, at the time I was looking for an RX-7, remember?
Right, yeah.
And it was like RX-7 but nothing. Like that's all I wanted.
So that wasn't even a car you bought. That was just you regret not buying.
Yeah, because you know what? I never had the whole Skyline four-wheel drive turbo RB26 thing, right? I know you've had it.
Yeah.
But I never had that. I had it I have it now in the equivalent of the BMW, right?
Yeah.
But, oh, man.
You know,
honestly.
Weirdly enough, if I was told that I have to, for some reason, have to buy an RB26 all-wheel drive car today, I'd buy the Stagia.
Yeah, I would.
The 260 RS. I think I would prefer 260 RS over... I'm not going to say the word because I'm just going to get roasted by absolutely everyone. But, yeah, that's what I would go for. If I was to buy a Skyline again, as much as I like the GDR, I loved my GTST more.
I think it was funner, for sure. But
funner.
Yeah, I think it was.
Funner.
Yeah.
That's the word we're going for.
Well,
funner.
Let's say it was more loose.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah, so my R33 GTST is definitely what I actually sadly regret selling. That was more due to the circumstances, the fact that I bought it. I spent so much money on it, and then I realized that it was full of rust underneath, and at the back, it had been in an accident. The chassis was a little bit bent, so it was.
It's so disappointing when you see that. Hey,
yeah, like I bought it in good condition, and I thought it was in good condition until I looked underneath at the back, like a few months down the line after I spent all this money.
Yeah,
and it just broke my heart. So that one I regret selling because not because I wanted to sell it. It was more because I had to sell it. Because in my mind, that was the grail car that I wanted.
Yeah.
My holy grail was a nice like R33 or R32 Skyline. And I just had to let it go because it wasn't that good of an example. And then like that car had a lot. I had a 411 mini spooled diff, which meant it was really fun to drift.
Yeah.
It drifted everywhere.
Not that we condone drifting in public areas.
Yeah, on track.
Yeah,
of course. On the wet pan, on the skid pan, it was
or
awesome.
shopping mall car parks past 11 o'clock.
I was 17 at the time, so I made it flutter by putting a piece of Coke can between the blow-off valve to block it off.
I never knew that.
Did you not know
Did
that?
you actually do that?
Yeah, I did that. I'm pretty sure I've still got the cutout. So I made a gasket out of a Coke can, and then I like shaped it perfectly to the blow-off valve, and I bolted it up. And
Can I just say that's so ghetto?
And it worked. It worked awesome. I used that for I think 6 months until I finally got over it because it had the stock. Oh no, it had a NIS tune in it, and then the airflow meter couldn't calculate the right AFRs.
Yeah.
So it would just run so rich that it would just die. Like it would just like after a dose, if I was off the clutch, like it would just die. So
that is the weirdest mod.
So I got over it, and then I took it out, and it was super fun. I loved it. I can't, like, I'm speechless on how good that car was to me, and I absolutely loved it.
It was so much fun. I remember driving it. It was so good. I
it
loved
taught
it.
me so much. Like, it's the first car that I modified a lot.
Yeah.
You know, I had like 300 ZXs before that. I had Hondas, but my biggest modification on my Hondas was music system or fog lights, right? Whereas the R33 was, I did
what is up with you and fog lights and music systems?
I swear. The JDM, I used to at least. I still do. I did yellow JDM fog lights at the bottom.
I'm a massive fan.
Most cars,
massive
I loved
fan.
it. So that
but
was
I swear, every single time I called you, hey bro, like, what are you doing? You're like, yeah, fog lights.
Yeah,
all the time.
I mean, it's a must-have mod for me. Even my Evo has it now. I don't have it on the RX-7 yet, so that's soon to come. Anyway. But the 33, like, I did the interior on it. You know, I did engine mods for the first time, and I made it actually fast. It was quite quick.
Yeah, it was quite quick. Yeah.
Quite quick for someone who was 17 and on their Ps. It was a GTS-T.
And the number plate was?
Oh, I had, my number plate was Relax.
Welcome to Wanker Mode.
Your 17-year-old Sparge. Used to say that a lot. I used to just be like, just relax, bro, all the time. So I was like, why don't I just get a number plate?
That was so...
That'll tell everyone to relax.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Like, looking back on that now...
No cops enjoyed that one,
yeah.
actually. I got picked on by cops a lot because of that number plate. But, you know, we live and we learn. We'll never do that again. Never do that again.
You sure? You still own them, don't you?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
You know what? The funny thing now you say that is like, oh man, I hate talking about this. My first original 318i manual E30.
Yeah.
Oh, it was such a good car.
Yeah.
I regret selling that so much.
But like so mechanically, it was nothing amazing, right? Like it was an M40.
Mechanically, look, in a nutshell, mechanically it was a pile of shit.
Yeah. But body was amazing.
Body was so clean. Suspension was good. Interior was pretty good.
Yeah.
Just a couple rips and things in the seat. And like, I think you got to remember, like, I've bought this from like an old lady, right, who had just daily driven it everywhere. And I paid $1,800 for it. And it had, well, I say had, it had 172,000 kilometers, it said. But the Odo apparently broke 2 months before I bought it.
Well, I totally believe that.
I have no idea.
They break all the time.
I know, but I just had no idea. Like, it could have had 250,000 Ks, to be honest with you. But that car was just so much fun. It was clean. You would drive it at full throttle, absolutely everywhere, and literally look at the fuel gauge and it barely goes down.
Yeah.
It was one of the best cars I ever owned.
It's one of those cars you can drive at 10 tenths and you won't break the speed limit. You won't get in trouble for it.
No,
It
and
won't cost you a lot.
and down like some of our windy roads up here, which I guess everybody in our area use, Old Pacific Highway.
Yeah.
It was pretty quick.
It was really quick.
Yeah. And I think that really that taught me to drive.
Yeah, but mostly because even though it was it was meant to be a luxury car, right, from the 80s or whatever.
Yeah.
But it still handled so well. It took corners like there were nothing.
Yeah, it was just a general commuter car. That's all it was.
You barely even had to touch the brakes from the speed limit. You could take corners basically at speed limit.
Oh, it was so good.
Which was super fun. So in that way, like it was a good car. So what made you sell it?
It was time for an upgrade at that point. It really was. It was just I had the car for three and a bit years, and while everybody was getting Skylines and S15s and all this array of turbo goodness, right? I was still stuck in a single cam 93 kilowatt slow pile of crap. Essentially, the other day,
engine swapping and stuff like that wasn't an option for you
at the time. No, I just didn't have the money, so it made more sense to get rid of the car and actually upgrade to something else. But honestly, like, oh man, it makes me so sad thinking about it right now.
Would you buy it back if you saw it again?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
I would. Honestly, that car, if it's still in the same condition I left it in, it was brilliant.
Yeah. Well, from what I know about it, the owner after you took pretty good care of it.
He did. He was a trainee mechanic, so he's obviously done well. Hold on, trainee mechanic. We don't know, but generally speaking, should have looked after it.
He made some questionable aesthetic mods to it.
Yeah,
like a Cabra.
I don't mind the Cabra on an E30.
I do not like Cabra.
Why?
On any car. Like,
what's wrong with it?
Why do you need... Your car doesn't need a bra.
It looks sick.
I highly disagree.
Okay, those E30 stance cars, lowered, right? With like a bit of camber and like roof racks and a Cabra, looks sick.
Okay, you do you, Alex. You do you.
You watch. One day I'll repeat that. No. It was awesome.
I think the whole point of the front of the car is to have it looking the same, and it just...
What's wrong with the Cabra?
I'm a huge OEM fan. Because the Cabra's like, what? It's a red car with a black...
It stops stone chips.
Black little thing. Yeah, if you're taking it on the motorway, go for it.
And if you take it down Pack Highway...
But it's not an aesthetic thing.
Those cars are so low to the ground. Yeah, if you come behind an SUV...
No, for function, but...
So function, it works, see?
On everyday use, it's not.
It's protecting
it's
the
not
paint.
Good looking anyway.
It's great looking.
I don't think so.
Back down.
I think
you're going to lose this.
It looks gross.
No, it does not.
But
it had, you know what the best thing actually I miss about the E30 life was all the little weird, quirky miniature mods there was.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So like a lot of people, maybe if you've driven an E30, you'll understand this, but the turning circle was really good. But turning the steering wheel was 3.5 turns lock to lock. So you're like literally friggin' all the time turning.
Yeah.
It never ended.
Yeah.
So there was these weird like upgrades like Z3 and E46 M3 Rack Upgrades, which were like you can buy like weird couplings that fit together. They were doing like retrofit like E39 window handles because the window handles always broke.
Yep.
I did a retrofit from a Mark. Well, I say I did. I didn't end up doing it, but I had a retrofit spoiler from a Mark IV Golf GTI.
Oh, yeah.
A roof spoiler that literally
this.
fits on top of the glass. Like there were just all these weird things that fit into it.
You still have this Alpina front bumper?
And I still got an Alpina front bumper for it, yeah.
Yeah. I know you have the steering wheel for it. I gave it to you the other day.
Yeah. I can't get rid of it. I can't bring myself to it.
No, fair enough. Why would you? But I can clearly see you regret selling that car.
Oh, don't start me, seriously.
But my car after the R33, what I sold the R33 for was to build an S14, and that S14 then stayed with me for the rest of my piece. That was like I bought and sold a lot of cars and never batted an eyelid, never cared about them. Like I've had almost everything. Like Nissan wise, I've had 180 SXs, S13, S14, S15. I've had R31, R32, R33, R34. My work gave me a R35 GTR for a little bit to use. I didn't buy that. That wasn't mine. And what else? Like I've had Supra. I had, I've been through a few cars now.
You've been through quite a lot. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Quite a lot.
And then also I've been through daily. So I've had N15 Pulsars, CRV. I loved my Honda CRV. I
It
actually
was so random.
low key regret selling the Honda CRV. I
It had a table in the back, man.
It had a table built in. I got my first speeding fine in the CRV.
Wait a second. Yeah, you got a speeding fine
Yeah, my first ever speeding fine that I
in
ever
a Honda
was
CRV.
in a Honda CRV.
Why?
Why?
Yeah, like where were you going? What were you doing?
Warringah Road. I was going to work with my girlfriend in the passenger seat, and it was normally a 70 zone,
Yeah.
and I was doing 75, I think. But in the little section, because
a Honda CRV can actually do 75.
I relax. It can do the speed limit fine, and
It
it was
was
all-wheel
slow.
drive. It was a good car. And there was a highway patrol sitting there, and I was like, I just didn't notice. I didn't notice at all. And you'd be like, wow, 75? That's not that bad, right? No, in this little 100-meter sprint, they made it that it was a 60 zone because of roadworks, because there was some tradie on the other side of the road
Smoking a cigarette or
working
something.
on something, right?
No, they're never working.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
never, ever working.
Doing whatever he was doing in peak
Ever.
hour traffic
Yeah,
in the morning.
Yeah.
At like 6:30 a.m., 7 a.m., he was doing something. And so it was a 60 zone. So I got booked he booked me for 10 over. He caught me doing like 78, 79 or something.
Dude, I hate this, right? So you're in your car driving down to work or whatever, and they shut down 3 lanes, and there's 2 people standing there having a chat.
Yeah, literally.
Why?
Most of the times, that's what roadworks in Sydney looks like. It's awesome.
It's ridiculous. It shits me
The
off.
only people working are really the lollipop people.
Yeah.
They're the
Every
only
time.
ones.
And they're getting paid $100,000 a year or something, aren't they?
Yeah, they're the only ones that are actually working. Like, they're sitting there and they're like, yep, talking, and then changing signs, and that's all they do. But that's all they need to do.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Anyway,
Yeah,
Honda
back on.
CRV.
Yeah.
I do regret selling that because I think it was a really good run around everyday car. I got it for $2,000, and then I sold it for $150. So I really lost a lot of money on that. But then I started selling all these like little bits off it. So like I took the entire interior out and I sold the interior. I'm pretty sure I made my money back
On parts.
just about.
Yeah.
Just about. The only thing I paid for was the rego, but that's what.
It doesn't matter. I
Yeah,
mean,
you pay for rego. on
yeah,
most
it was
cars,
cheap, but
it was either that or something else, right? I've always needed a daily because where I worked was next to, I don't mean to be rude, but it was like a medical center where a lot of old people would come and a lot of people with disabilities would come.
why is that being rude?
Well, because I'm about to say that those people would not care about cars on the road and just hit into them. They would literally start reversing until they hit a car and then they'd go off.
Oh, so you speak from experience. This has happened.
A lot of times.
Really?
So my
Okay.
dailies would get hit all the time.
Yeah.
So like the N15 Pulsar, the front and rear bumper was
Cracked.
perfect when I bought it.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely broken when I stopped working there or when I sold the car
Yeah.
because people would just reverse into them or like hit them front on, and that's how they would get out of little tiny spots. And it happened every single day. So there's no way I was going to take my RX-7 or my S14 or something like that to work.
To work.
So it just wasn't worth it. But yeah, my S14 that I had at the time was my pride and joy.
We're sorry, by the way, if this sounds depressing, but this is very sad for us.
Well, it's depressing for us, right? Like I went through so much. That was my first car for so many different things, so many mods, and I loved it. It was so great.
Your 14 was probably one of the cleanest, not just S14, but like out of all the cars would go to a car meet or whatever, right?
Yeah.
You can just see like you've literally started from the bottom with every single screw, nut,
Yeah.
whatever it was.
Everything that car I touched and I
Yeah,
changed.
and it was literally brand new.
Yeah. Which is what I've done with the Evo now as well. So similar sort of thing. It eventually got replaced, which I'm kind of glad. But yeah, the S14, it was really sad to let it go, but I kind of had to. I grew out of it, right? Like,
Yeah,
unless I was willing to spend, $20,000 getting an RB26 or an RB25 in there, doing the whole conversion, putting a CD09 or a Z32 box, a lot of money down the road to get it to where I wanted it, because I grew out of it because I was getting my fulls. I needed an upgrade. I had just bought an RX-7 and I knew that was a great upgrade. But I couldn't afford the two cars at the same time. So I sold the engine and gearbox out of my S14, got the RX-7 running, drove the RX-7 around, and then looked back at the S14 and said, why would I get back into that as well? No point in having two-door sports cars at the same time, because they both achieve the same purpose.
That was always a thing, right? Because you always wanted the next best thing when we were younger, right? It was never like you never thought about anything else. It was just, I'm done with this body style. I've done as much as I can, and we're going to go to the next.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's all we were doing. And, oh, man, looking back on all the cars that we've had, we would have such an array of collection of cars if we kept them all.
Yeah, like I've changed my perspective a lot. I don't want to regret. I don't want more regret. So I don't sell cars as much as I used to. Now I kind of keep on to them unless I really need to or really want to sell it, unless like I get tempted by something. But so the S14 got replaced by the Evo, so it was bigger and better, you know. A lot better in my opinion, at least, as a car. So I think that was a good choice because now I can justify having an RX-7 and an Evo because the Evo is a 4-door, 5-seater, comfortable.
Which you don't daily.
Comfortable daily. Well,
it's not a daily.
At the moment, I don't daily it because it needs a clutch, but I did daily it, and I do daily it. I just need to put a clutch in it because university, man. Exams, assignments, it's killing me. So until my holidays come, I can't do the clutch. So it's just sitting there. But
you know what? To add to that, next one I really regret selling, Supra. Yeah, I really regret it.
I don't think you enjoyed it as much as you say you did.
Do you know what? I never enjoyed it at the time. I really loved it. I think it lacked a bit of character compared to the E30. But thinking about it now, thinking about the times that I had with it.
What makes you regret? Like, is it the fact that they're worth a lot more now?
No, it's nothing to do with the price.
So it's just sentimental.
Honesty, it's not even sentimental. It's the fact that two-door body shape is... Look, I did grow out of it and say, no, I don't want a Supra anymore. But looking back on it, it's such a nice-looking car.
It is,
one.
Yeah.
Number two, with the coilovers and the upgraded sway bars that my car had, it handled amazingly.
Yeah.
And just the cockpit, the feel of like when you're sitting in that car and driving it is just so good. You sit so low.
Yeah.
You're literally almost like your legs are literally in a straight line from the seat.
See, I don't regret selling cars as much if I needed that money to move on to the better car.
Yeah.
Like the R33, I love the car, but I needed to sell it, so I totally understand. If I was to find that one example for the same price I sold it for, which I sold for like $5,000, $5,500 or something, I wouldn't buy it again. Like I wouldn't, right? It's not the car. I love the idea of owning a Skyline, and that's what I regret not having anymore. That's what I miss. But I made a choice. Like when I was going on to my fulls, I had the choice. I had the money, right? And I had a choice of RX-7 or R32 GTR. Those two were my grail cars. I was like, I want one car on my fulls that I will build for the rest of my life and keep and do whatever I need to until my back breaks.
Which isn't far off.
So it was either going to be the R32 GTR or the RX-7, and they were worth the same amount of money.
Yeah.
Right? So it was literally one or the other. And I drove both of them, and at the time, I just happened to not think... Like, I love the R32 GTR. I do. But the RX-7 just had a little bit more character and a little bit what I wanted. What I like to have is rear-wheel drive, firstly.
Manual.
Small.
Yes.
Small
and lightweight.
Yeah. Like, I need something that's super lightweight, super nimble. Like, if I just chuck on some sway bars, chuck on some coilovers, I should be able to take a corner and not feel the weight of the car. Dragging me one way or the other, right? That's what I wanted. I wanted a car that was super light. And the R32 GTR gave me a little bit more weight that I didn't like.
You know what?
It was also all-wheel drive. So
there's weight in it, but the weirdest thing about it is like, you're right, the understeer, but it's the fact that there's body roll in those things.
Yeah, there
The
is.
amount of body roll in
But, like,
those are a lot more than you think.
I mean, I can argue that you can get rid of it. That's not the end of the world.
no,
but
it's
they're-
not, but you can feel the weight shifting in that
Yeah,
car.
you can, exactly. And I didn't like the feeling of uneasy. Like, it made me a little bit uneasy knowing that my car's sort of dragging, which everyone's different, right? I can admit that it's stupid. An R32 GTR would corner really well anyway. It's pointless for me to be like, oh, it's not that great.
Yeah.
It's just not that great compared to an RX-7, like, which is what I was comparing it to.
Yeah, and I guess like the car you're going to buy, right? Going back to that is if it handles well and it's fun to drive, that's technically the car you want because just because it's a power monster doesn't mean it's any fun.
Yeah, exactly. An R32, what are they called? GTST still? Yes.
Yeah.
Turbocharged R32, rear-wheel drive
Yeah.
was my favorite. Or an R33 GTST were my favorite. I didn't like the R34. Sorry, fanboys. I like it as a car, but I didn't like it as my
To drive.
fun car.
Yeah.
I don't think the R34 GTR is... It's just too heavy, I think. It's a little bit too heavy. There's too much going on bulky-wise. So I like the R32 and the R33. I know people say R33s are boats, but you can get them...
I'll be honest, R33s are not boats, they're good, but
You can tame them.
the
They're not
front
hard.
the front bumper on an R33,
Oh, the Series 2 was nice. I like it. I think with most Nissans, Series 2s were always better.
You know those
no matter
fish-
what car, Series 2
you know
was always
those
better.
fish that go through the ocean, they sort of open their mouths and eat the plankton? That's what every single R33 reminded me of because they had these gigantic intercoolers hanging
They did,
out.
yeah.
And
But I like those.
the bumper space was not square. It was like a weird, you know what I mean? Like it's like
It was like an arch, like a rounded off corners.
it's that, or, you know, in the GTS-T model,
Yeah.
in some of them, the Series 1, I think, it comes down and it has like edges.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Okay, it's a weird shape, right?
Yeah.
But all I can think of is that car opening and closing its mouth all the time. And ever since, I don't want an R33. I think it's weird looking.
Okay. Oh, a lot of people will agree with your opinion there. I think they're gorgeous. I love R33s.
They're not gorgeous.
I would rather an R32 because it was lighter and more raw. And I kind of like the rawness. Also, in Australia, if the car comes with airbags from factory, you can't replace the steering wheels legally. So I kind of liked the cars that were before 92 because you could get them without airbags, which was more fun because that means I can put a naughty wheel on it and legally have fun with it.
Yeah.
Which was a huge thing for me because if it didn't have airbags at all, that means I could change out the seats. I could do whatever I wanted with the interior and it was completely legal. If I wanted to do that with a car that was a little bit later, it's just not legal or engineering certificate and whatever. So for me, the RX-7 stood out more compared to the R32 GTR. I prefer rear-wheel drive to all-wheel drive. I say that and I have an Evo. But it was more fun for me.
But they're funner cars because they feel more balanced back and forth. Do you get what I mean by that? But like when you're turning it, like rear-wheel drives in general, right?
Yeah.
They feel more balanced back and forth.
Yeah.
Like in terms of the acceleration, the input, the outputs that you're getting.
But I prefer GTSTs to GTRs because they're rear-wheel drive and they feel just as good.
Yeah.
And they're super fun to slide and super fun to have actual fun with, which you can't say about every car really. Like the 300ZX, for example. No Fairlady Z. I know the 350Z is really easy to drive and really fun, but you can still feel the weight behind it. It's fun to slide, but it's not fun to track unless you start doing some mods to it.
Yeah, you've really got to get into those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anywho, so I can't say I regret the R33, that individual model. I regret getting rid of a Skyline in general, and that was the Skyline that I spent the most amount of my time with, and it was rear-wheel drive and it was super fun. So I liked it. But I don't regret not buying the R32 GTR because even if I go back now and I drive GTRs, I don't.
No, they're not the same.
I don't think they're me car. You know, like like modern society wise, like I'll tell you what I like. I do like 86s and BRZs because rear-wheel drive, they still have the essence of good weight distribution. They're really good to handle. A little bit more expensive. If we were going to, like, I love Lotus what Lotus
leases,
do, because they're doing the same thing: lightweight, rear-wheel drive, manual. Like that's fun. I don't know, like GT3 RSs and like Porsches. I love what GT3
affordable.
cars
You should
do.
go buy one.
I wish. But I like what they're doing. Same thing, lightweight. So yeah, that's what I like to go down.
But it's funny you bring that up, because
that's why I didn't like my Supra.
The same time you were looking at RX-7, I had my E30 M50. Right?
Yes.
Now, I don't regret selling that car.
Yes.
But I do miss that 6-cylinder straight six inside that E30. It was amazing.
I thought that was a horrible combination.
You didn't drive it that much.
I thought that was a horrible combination to put a big, hunky 6-cylinder in a car that was 900 kilos.
I'll tell you right now, it was not the fastest.
No.
It didn't stop that well. No. Okay. It wasn't fuel efficient. It leaked oil all the time. Okay.
All your cars have.
Yeah, every single one, literally. However, thinking back on it now, that 6-cylinder made like 230 horsepower, right? So by today's standards, average.
Yeah.
But the car was so light, it was a straight six, so you had the noise because it was a completely straight pipe car. So you remember how loud that car was on acceleration.
Yeah.
The experience that you have in that car was the best I've ever had. Just daily driving around the roads.
With a 6-cylinder?
With a 6-cylinder in the E30 body.
Really?
It was, I'm promise you.
Okay.
If I built that car and I gave it to you for a month, you would understand, because
I drove it around, and I didn't have the same feeling. I think I do prefer naturally aspirated in that chassis.
But the thing
I don't
is,
think a turbocharger works on that.
You need aura, right? You need things happening, like pops and bangs or exhaust note or something, right?
But I think the chassis deserves a 4-cylinder with ITBs, naturally aspirated. I think that's what it deserves. I think that's what it would have made it come alive. I do not think that the SR20 we put in later with the turbo was the right choice.
No, it wasn't the right fit.
If we took the turbo off and made it a naturally aspirated SR20, I think that was perfect. I think a perfect thing for an E30 is an SR20 or a K20 or like,
to be honest,
like a high revving Honda motor, like
like a high revving motor. Okay, agreed. If you're looking at like track spec, okay, and going to like absolutely just, full pace.
Well, I also mean like spirited driving in the street. You'd rather have
thing
an
is,
NA.
Spirited driving for me in that car wouldn't be a small engine.
Really?
No, it would not be. It would either be like a M52, or like a S52, like from an M3, or an LS, or the V8 out of a 5 Series. Like those sort of things for me make so much more sense than
I think a V8 makes sense, like an LS1, LS2, LS3 kind of like makes sense because they're still really light. Like because they're alloy, they would be almost the same as the 4-cylinder, not far off.
In Lebanon and like Middle Eastern countries, they're swapping the V8 from a E39 or E34 5 Series into them, right? And they are heavy engines, but at least it's a BMW core, right? So everything bolts up pretty straightforward.
Don't you ruin the characteristics by putting a big hunky engine in?
Well, no, because it's the same thing, right? We track back to the R33, which is like a Bodie sort of car, okay? And an E30 is, the front suspension is very complicated and the rear suspension is literally easy. so easy. And if you really went into them and you're talking coilovers, sway bars, polyurethane bushings.
The weight distribution. Like the weight distribution of the E30 is what makes it.
Yeah, it does.
It's
as a track car, but in terms of
you can make it sub a ton.
In terms of the experience of the actual drive, a big engine has to be in that thing. Seriously.
Okay.
And I've driven an LS E30, and honestly, I can go back and say
no. I totally understand. LSs are good, but that's because they're lighter than the M52.
Yeah, probably.
See, I think a BMW straight 6 or a V8 is not what I would like in it. I would like a naturally aspirated Japanese
like a little high
cylinder,
like a little high revving thing,
like a little high revving thing, or I would like an LS in it.
Yeah,
I think those two are the choices that I would go for. I know a lot of people, or not a lot of people, a few people put like 1Js and stuff in them as well. Don't think that's the right choice either. Like you'll have the torque and everything, but you ruin the whole characteristics. Like yet again, I'll go back to I like really light and like agile cars.
Yeah.
You know, that like you don't feel weight. And if you put that much weight on the front end, you can feel it.
I think the thing people don't understand about those E30s, they're really twitchy. Like when they slide, they are very twitchy cars.
Yeah, yeah.
Unless you've got them properly set up with suspension, all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And with those sort of big 2Js or, you know, the high boost things, the things where boosts kick in real late.
Yeah.
Because the boosts do kick in later through the rev range, every turn that you're taking is like, holy shit, I'm going to die. Am I going to die on this one or the next one?
Exactly.
Because
And
there is like, it's literally guesswork.
you don't
like,
have any
all the time.
confidence in the
No.
car. I know you'll get used to it at some point, but it's just not worth it, I think. You'll never be as confident with the car as you would be if it was a naturally aspirated 4-cylinder. You know it's a linear power curve. You know you're just going to absolutely hammer it and have fun with it.
Yeah, but even LS, right? An LS is like an NA, really linear power curve from bottom to top.
Okay, I can say it this way. What did you have more fun with? Your first E30 or your M50 E30? Like your bone stock 318i or the M50? What did you go on more spirited drives with? What made you feel more like I need to go down Old Pacific Highway or I need to go down Nashua or something? I don't think you took the white one to Nashua ever.
No, I did go once. Went
You did?
once. The red one.
The red one.
Yeah, the first one.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
The first one for
But you
sure.
didn't take the white one.
I did, but not as much, no.
No.
Because I was working so much as well. I didn't have exactly the same amount of spare time that I
Yeah,
had.
okay. But what was more fun?
Do you know what? In all honesty, the reason the first piece of crap one was so much fun is because you would be absolutely hammering it doing 45 kilometers an hour.
That's what I mean.
Right?
That's what I'm talking about. Like a little 4-cylinder will give you everything
But
you
the
want
thing is,
to have fun.
me personally, like looking back on it now, if I was to build it again, I've moved on from that and I want the next challenge because for me, if I had
like a high revving 4-cylinder can still make 200 horse.
yeah, probably, but I just feel like I'd want a V8 in my life. Maybe I'm still on that little bit.
V8 I agree with. I just don't agree with your M50 thing.
It was just fun.
Yeah. Okay. This was
just fun.
mad tangent. Anyway, I know I'm right. Anyway, well,
He's just not.
Moving on. What other car have I had that I regret selling? I had a baby blue 180SX Type X. I don't know if you remember this.
I do.
I bought it for I think $1,200 as a shell. It was a rolling shell. But had full interior, full everything, and it was awesome. And the SR20 that we put into your car, before we put into your car, we put into the 180SX.
Yeah.
I drove it up and down the road, and I was like, this is perfect. This is what I want as a track car. It was so cheap, so fun. It was a genuine Type X, which, oh my God, like I regret selling that because today it would be worth, 40 grand, 50 grand? Anyway, I was loving it, and then RX-7 did what RX-7s do, and I broke my ECU. I didn't do it on purpose, but it somehow had water damage in the past, so my car would keep going into limp mode, and it just wasn't working no matter what I did. So I had to put a Haltech in it, and the Haltech was going to cost me $1,500 at the time, and I was like, well, I don't really have $1,500, and I'd rather have the RX-7 on the road, and I can always buy another 180SX down the road. Like, who cares? There's so many of them. So I took the
last words.
I took the engine out of it, and I sold the shell for $1,500. I let it go and sold some interior bits and stuff and made more money. And got the RX-7 back on the road, and I was super happy and fun. And I didn't regret that till very recently when I went, oh my God, I want a new Type X, a 180. And now they're 40, 50K. So it's, even if I wanted to buy one, I can't.
You know what? It's funny you say that because from that was the start of when we started building the E30. And that was a long journey.
That was a long journey.
That was like just over a year worth of like constant niggling issues. But I don't care. SR20s sound terrible.
Yeah, we all know that.
They sound so bad.
I think everyone can agree with that. Even if you're a Silvia owner, you agree that SR20s sound terrible until you build them and spend a lot of money on getting the right exhaust. Because there are good sounding SR20s. There are, but it's just so rare. I mean, Matty Hill.
Okay, yeah.
Like the Pro Drifter.
Yeah,
his car sounds amazing. I'm sure Adam LZ's 180SX would disagree with you with his SR20. That sounds awesome.
No.
Nah, you can get them sounding good. There's something, I think it's a Jazz manifold, like a Jazz header manifold. I think there's only like 3 of them in Australia, and one of my friends happens to have one, and it just sounds so good.
No,
like, that does not sound like an SR20. An SR20 sounds good when it doesn't sound like an SR20, basically is what I'm trying to say.
It is, okay, I will put a vote out there. Go comment on the Instagram, tell me if you agree with me, but that is the worst sounding performance engine ever made.
Ever made?
Yeah.
Ever?
Yeah.
What about the CA18? I think that sounds worse.
Do you know what's weird? The CA18 is not a great engine.
No.
Overall, okay?
Yeah.
But I prefer the sound of that to an SR.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, no, I hate the CA18 sound more than I hate the SR20 sound. But don't get me wrong, the SR20 sounds pretty terrible anyway.
The SR sounds like a lawnmower trying to get to up the RPM range.
Yeah,
it sounds terrible.
And then in the later series, you had the VCT rattle, which made them sound like a tractor.
Oh, it's rubbish.
Which I had. My S14 was a Series 2 with an S15 motor in it, like a black top. And I eventually had a VCT rattle. And oh my God, it sounded like a tractor.
It sounds terrible, honestly.
But I fixed the VCT rattle. It was all good. We're all okay. It was fine.
Oh, man. I'll be honest, like that episode's just like slightly demoralized me. I want to go out and buy another E30.
Yeah.
This is like the sad ending to the episode.
I regret. That's one of my cars that I regret. I feel like I don't want to go on about it because I had the same car. I had a white E30. My first E30 was a 2-door white, no rust whatsoever, perfect interior, and I got it for $1,200 with 12 months of rego. So basically free.
And tell me the best thing about E30s.
The best thing?
Yeah. I remember mine every day of the week. Boot space.
Oh, yes. I mean, it was, super, super practical. I did like that.
Dude, you got a gearbox in the back of your freaking E30.
I fit 2 gearboxes in the back of my E30. Perfectly fine. The RX-7 and an MX-5 gearbox. I love MX-5s too. I also regret selling my yellow MX-5, but not as much because now I have a blue one. But I don't know. Like, the E30 is just like a character. I didn't like it at first. I didn't like it when you owned your first one. Like,
you hated it.
Like, I did not like it.
You talk so much shit about E30s.
I didn't think it was that great until I bought my white one, and then I drove it around, and I was just like, whoa, like perfect.
You understand.
The weight distribution was awesome. The car weighed like 980 kilos. It was rear-wheel drive. It was manual. It was everything that I loved. So in that way, it was awesome. And it's quirky. Like, the interior was quirky. Everything just worked, like the headlight switch was like a choke, right? It had a backwards opening bonnet. You could lock the entire car from the boot. Like, what car can... What? And it was a button in the boot as well, which was super cool. I didn't like that the boot opened from the top rather than the whole boot.
What do you mean?
Because if you wanted to get something in, you would always scuff the paint getting it in, or scuff the beaver panel, they were called.
But it ruins, like, when you have the cuts through the lights, it ruins the lines.
It does. I do understand why they did it, but it made it a little bit more impractical.
Yeah.
Even though the boot space was massive, it could have been better. Also, ski holes. I wish they had ski holes at the back.
Oh,
There was no need to not have that. You're a BMW. Like, surely you can figure that out. But that car with roof racks, nice wheels, that's all you need. Like, it was perfect.
How practical were they? Roof racks. I remember this now.
And, opposite to you, I loved the 318i M40 engine. I loved smashing it every single day. I didn't grow out of it, I think, because I had a second car. Like, at the time, I had the S14, I believe, or an R33. Maybe I had the R33.
Yeah.
Or a 300ZX. I don't know. I've had a few cars. But, it was, as a second daily car, that's what it was for me. Not to mention, if someone was to hit the front or the rear...
It's got those massive plastic bumpers.
Most of it was, like, solid, right?
Yeah.
Like, even the plastic was so solid that it would damage the other car before it would... worst case scenario, it would just have a spiderweb crack, and that was it.
Yeah.
Like, and the panels were so easily replaceable. It was, like, 5-minute job.
It was so good. Everything in that car was easy to replace.
So E30 was super practical, super awesome in that way. I wouldn't have it as my only fun car, but I would have it as a fun practical everyday car, or a track car if it was a 2-door with a K24 in it. That's what I wanted to do with mine. But I had to make the choice of either selling my E30 and getting a hoist with that money, which I think I was in more desperate need because I have like
You were.
3 dead cars, and a hoist would have fixed my back a lot. So that's what I ended up doing. I ended up selling it and getting a hoist instead.
But I think, you know what? In all honesty, that's pretty much every car I've mostly regretted selling or buying.
I don't understand why you regret your Liberty. Why would you regret selling your Liberty?
Why do I regret selling it?
Yeah.
I liked the Liberty.
It blew up on you like a week in.
Yeah, but it was such a nice car to drive.
You spent more money. Like, it was nothing for you. You drove it around for like a week or two. It blew up on you.
Yeah.
And then you didn't drive it again.
Yeah.
And
I still like that
weeks,
car. So you know what's so funny, right? If anybody comes to me and says, I want a 4-door practical car for like 10 grand, I'm like, go buy Liberty. It's so, it feels European,
like,
the way it's built.
I do understand that. It was really nice on the interior.
It's so nice. And
it wasn't fun to drive.
No, it wasn't fun by all means, but like it did everything it was supposed to.
It was super heavy,
really
super
well.
understeery. We know that because I understeered onto a main road with it. Taking the corner at like 50. Come on, it wasn't even a corner; it was a curve, and it
was pouring down in the rain, dude.
It wouldn't take it. And Alex was like, "Oh, what are you doing? Why are you turning? You didn't brake." And I was like, "I don't need to brake. It's a small car."
He was a maniac that day. I'll tell you. He was a maniac.
I just turned and it went straight.
The thing is, you could admit this now. Back at the time, you're like, "Oh no, this is normal." I was like, "It's not normal, man. What are you doing?"
Well, my cars could have done it, right? So I just...
Your cars had 10 grand worth of modifications.
I just
versus
thought,
a $2,000 Subaru we bought in Blacktown. Like, what do you think's going to happen?
I just thought it would just do it, but it didn't do it. So thankfully, nothing happened.
We survived.
I missed the traffic light had like a little curb, like an island. I missed it, I think, by like a few...
I do, yeah.
A few inches.
We were ready to take flight over this curb onto the other side of the road and have a head-on collision.
Yeah. But
it's fun looking back on it now.
The other thing is, I feel like if I'm in that moment, like still to this day, if I lose traction or I'm spinning or something, I'm oddly calm.
Yeah. I'm always calm.
Alex was like panicking in the passenger seat. I panic in the passenger seat, but I don't panic in the driver's seat.
No, I don't. That's the problem.
Yeah,
I can't be a passenger anymore. I'm so
Alex
bad.
was like panicking in the passenger seat. He's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And I was just like, "Oh, we lost traction. No worries. Just straighten up and try and get traction back." And then we got it, and it was fine. And
the funny thing is,
and I was like, "That's fine."
You never ever admitted until literally this is 5 years ago, right? This is longer now. How many years? 6, 7 years ago.
7 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
This was 7 years ago, and up until 12 months ago, pretty much, you always said, no, like it was fine. Until 12 months ago, you said, yeah, that was stupid.
It was very stupid.
It took you 6 years to admit that it was a stupid idea, that we always had a head-on collision.
Yeah. It was super stupid. We were super lucky that
they were on Bob Jane T-Mart tyres. What do you think was going to happen?
Well, don't say bad things about them. I think their tyres are great.
Really?
Anyway, yeah, I think they're great. I've run them on my Jeep. The CLK is running on them. And they both never lose traction. Like, they're really great. I do think...
Oh, well, they do lose traction. I know. You showed me.
Well, maybe back in the day, when you probably had them, 3 years old, probably stolen off another car anyway. Let's be honest.
This is the joys of buying cars from Blacktown.
Oh, okay, and there's nothing wrong with people who live in Blacktown yet again.
I love
disclaimer.
how... you know what I love about
that person that we bought it from.
Do you know what I love about this podcast? I can say whatever I like, and you clean everything up after.
Because this guy is downright racist, downright discriminatory, and you can't do that. You can't do that.
I am not racist or discriminatory. Never.
Well, the things that come out of this guy's mouth.
I have some valid opinions, which are correct.
I just have to, realize that this is the internet, and you can't say some things, okay? You can maybe say it in your own house to yourself. That's fine. But some things, Alex.
Look, we bought a car in Blacktown. Already, that's a little bit suspicious.
No, it's not. There's nothing wrong with the area of Blacktown, okay? You can buy a car from anywhere in Sydney, and it just depends on the owner.
Okay, so
you can definitely
answer me something.
A perfectly fine family that is not dodgy.
Okay, answer me something. There's 2 dealers, okay?
There's good dealerships.
You've got 2 dealers.
It doesn't matter.
Okay?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Blacktown?
It doesn't matter.
On a highway?
Yeah, that's fine.
Let's just say here, let's just put it out there. Let's just say there's
This is getting down a
there's
really
a Subaru. There's a Subaru
really down
WRX.
bad path.
Okay.
It doesn't matter, Alex. A lot of people buy cars from every single suburb in this country. Okay, and everyone is fine. There's no single suburb that's worse than the other, and that's not how this.
I
works.
love watching you freak out. This is hilarious.
It doesn't work like that. Okay. Anyway,
local car down the road, right? Owned by somebody you know, or Blacktown dealership.
Alex, we're moving on. We moved on. Okay. My next question to you is:
What?
Is there any car that you don't regret selling? Any car that you sold that you were like, oh my God, thank God I got rid of that?
Or I wouldn't say I was that happy about it, but I wouldn't say I was like upset.
Really?
Yeah.
I have a lot of cars that I was like, thank God I sold
The
that.
Scirocco going to me was like, I was happy I owned it. Did I regret and say to myself, I regret selling it? No, necessarily. But I did miss the idea of getting in a car, turning the key and just going. And it was a sports car, right?
Like you just got really lucky with it, right? Because it just happened to be not a lemon like every other Volkswagen.
Yeah. It was,
Right?
it was just that good.
It was just that
such
good.
a
Like
car.
nothing broke on it. It was the only car you've ever owned in your life that didn't have oil leaks.
Yeah, true.
The only car. And it just ran day in, day out perfectly fine. It farted, like changing gears, which was gross. And,
I didn't like the noise.
And it looked gross, let's be honest.
What do you mean looks gross?
Scirocco R's are not pretty cars. I don't think
What
so.
do you mean not pretty cars?
No, they don't. I would prefer a Golf R.
Okay, so you want to be like every other person in the world, do you?
Yes. Because every other person in the world clearly knows what they're doing.
No. Completely disagree.
Nah.
Do you know what? Do you know what made sense to me? Is the fact that
Clearly.
the Scirocco R costs, I think it's about $2,000 more than a Golf R. Okay,
Oh, there you go. That's the dumbest thing you've ever said.
No,
'Cause
sorry.
Now we know that you made a dumb decision.
more than a Golf GTI.
Okay.
Okay, but what you get for that $2,000 is a little bit less practicality. Okay,
It's worse.
and that makes that cool
No.
because the other people were looking for 4 doors to take their golf clubs to wherever the hell they play golf, okay,
Yeah.
and take their kids around, while the people who bought Scirocco's were true people who wanted that car.
Let me rephrase this, Alex.
Go.
Was it practical for your job?
Yes.
No, it was not.
I
You
made it.
complained about it a lot.
Yeah, I know. But it worked, right?
Well, you complained about it like almost every day. You were like,
People don't
I
know
hate
this.
the tiny little boot space. I have to fold down the rear seats.
Yeah, people don't know this. My rear seats literally never came up. They were always, it was a 2-seater
So
car,
it was a 2-seater
99%
car.
of the
This
car.
is really
Yeah.
impractical.
Yeah, massively.
Which is even worse for your job because you actually carry people around.
I know, but it was fine.
That's not practical. A GDI would have been a better car for you. 100%.
Would I have enjoyed
And-
it as much to drive? No.
Probably. But the Scirocco was way more uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It was so stiff that I'm pretty sure you got stuck on a driveway.
I have. Yep.
I saw an M3 the other day leave the local Repco's driveway and it got stuck on the driveway. It needed a push. I thought they came with LSDs. Clearly not. Or this one just wasn't working.
Yeah.
He was just stuck. Like his wheel was just
Spinning in midair.
Yeah. And then like you could smell rubber because it would like touch the ground every now and then.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. The Scirocco R was not a practical car, not a car I would think
Great car.
was perfect for any use, let alone your use.
It was awesome.
No. Anyway, moving on. So I'm glad you sold that car. I
to be honest,
felt more relief you selling that car.
I'm glad I've sold that car.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
In my case, there's a lot of cars I'm glad about selling. I'm glad I sold that Pulsar just before it absolutely conked out because I thrashed it. If I owned it for over a year, I never serviced it in that time, and I redlined it to and back from work every single day. It was still the speed limit, so you could redline it, and it was just fun. I'm pretty sure I broke 2 gears in it, like second gear and third gear, because of the violent downshifts and upshifts I would do through windy roads.
Hold on. You had a Nissan Pulsar that was, let's be honest, a bit of a pile of crap.
No, it was perfect when I bought it. When I bought it, it was amazing. It had 160,000 Ks on it.
It was a bit rough around the edges body-wise.
body-wise?
It was. I remember.
Not when I first bought it.
Okay.
Well, during my ownership, yes. A lot of people crashed into it, and I crashed into a Taramara station. I crashed into a what was it? I was reversing full speed. This is so funny. I was reversing.
Oh my god, I remember this now.
I was reversing full speed, and I was looking out. There was a motorbike behind me, and I was like, "Oh, I don't want to hit the motorbike." So I was like looking for the motorbike, and at that same time, my girlfriend called me, and so I looked down at my phone, and me being a dumbass and being 17 or 18 at the time, picked up the phone, and I was like, "Hello," bang, and I was like, "Oh no, I've hit something. Please don't be the bike." I was so scared that I hit the bike. I got out, I looked, and the bike was next to the car, perfectly fine, and I just went into the guardrail next to the bike, and I was like, "Oh, I don't care. It's just a guardrail. No problem." Just parked the car up and left it.
That car... Wait, so you were redlining this and violent downshifts
Yes.
in your Pulsar?
Yeah. It was super fun. Like, so much fun. I think
Oh my gosh.
just having a
Sorry,
little
I'm just thinking about the image of you in traffic violently downshifting.
I'm
your
not in
Pulsar.
traffic. I'd never had traffic. That was
Yeah.
the thing, because I would take the back roads. Like, there's this road called Oxford Falls. I don't know if anyone knows, but it was
No, it's
a
haunted, dude.
windy road. No, Wakefield Parkway, which I
yeah.
was on bit. Well, that was haunted. But anyway, I would go down this windy road and like to avoid the traffic.
Yeah.
And every single day, oh my god, this windy road, I was so good at it. I would literally pull the handbrake on some of the corners just because I was going in that hot, and I was like, "Oh, I'm not gonna make it." Handbrake, try and like lose some speed, and then like just hit it because it was front wheel drive, so you could literally just point and shoot, and it was fun. That car was awesome. So if I remember, like I burnt heaps of oil off, and I didn't have oil to put in it, and I didn't want to spend any money, so I just put some used oil from the S14 in it. So like when I do a service on the S14, that used oil I would put in a bottle, and I'll top the Pulsar up with that bottle, just used oil. And
You're so ghetto.
never changed the filter, never did anything. The suspension bushes, they were shot because I had been hitting speed bumps and potholes at like 90 k's an hour, 100 k's an hour. So all the bushings were shot. It would clink clonk. Like the last 3 weeks of my ownership with it, I was just letting it lapse the registration, and then I was just going to throw it away because I bought it for $200.
Yeah.
And was like, it was clink clonking on the way. The engine was rattling its head off. It wouldn't go into second or third gear. And then I just got a wrecker to come and pick it up, and he paid me $150. So I paid $50 for the car.
Not bad.
And then I took the head unit out of it, and I still have it in my car, which is worth $200.
You got a good deal.
Yeah, Manuki found that deal. Actually, that was really good. So yeah, the Pulsar, I do remember being like, oh, I'm so relieved I got rid of that thing. Same as my R33. Like, as much as I say, like, it's a bit of both, right? I regret selling a Skyline because that was my main Skyline.
Yeah, but just because of the name that it's Skyline.
But because it was so crap, that particular model was so crap that when I sold it, I was like, oh my god, thank God I don't have to deal with that again. And I put all that money into my Silvia, and I could have a fun car straight away.
Yeah, okay. I see. Your use of funds off the back of it made sense.
Yeah. The biggest regret about the S14 was I already had the RX-7, and the RX-7 was running on the road, and then I sold the S14.
Yeah.
I didn't need money from the S14 at all. I had zero use for the money. I literally sold the S14 for, what was it, like 7.5, 8, somewhere there as a rolling shell. So I sold it for quite a bit, and then I sold my seats for $1,500 and sold my 90 wheel for another $500 or something.
Yeah, you like parted it all out from memory.
I parted it all out, like completely parted it out. And I got all that money together. I think it was $9,000 after paying the bills or whatever. And I bought a Snap-on toolbox because I didn't know what to do with the money. I was like, I just have so much money. I don't want to buy another car because I already have 3 cars.
Hold on, your Snap-on toolbox, the big red one.
S14.
I never knew that.
The S14 was a direct swap for the Snap-on toolbox. Yeah.
Fair enough.
That was my dream at the
time. You do need it. You did need it.
Yeah, I did need it. When I was an apprentice mechanic, I always I had the dream. I was like, oh, if I can get to the stage and I qualify, like not give up during this process, the day I qualify, I'm going to buy a Snap-on toolbox because that's what I want. I didn't spend too much money on Snap-on tools, like as such. I bought a lot of other tools, like cheaper tools, because Snap-on was really expensive. And then when I sold the S14 and I had a surplus of money, I was like, you know what, I'm going to splurge and I'm going to buy that toolbox. And that toolbox arrived, I think, a week before I qualified. So it was perfect. Yeah.
Good timing.
Yeah, I still have that toolbox today and I'm going to have it for the rest of my life because it has lifetime warranty. If anything goes wrong, I get another one for free. So no problem.
Let's be honest. For the price of what Snap-on tools are, you sort of expect that to a degree.
I'd hope so, but their tools don't have lifetime warranty.
Really?
Well, if you have a spanner, yes. A socket, yes. But if you have the ratchet, no.
Why?
Because the ratchet mechanism is different. So they'll either repair it or they'll sell you the part. Again.
Right, okay.
Not lifetime warranty on absolutely everything. Maybe it was just my franchisee that he liked to do things differently. But not everything was lifetime warranty. Power tools are not lifetime warranty. Their power tools only have like 2-year warranty or 3-year warranty. It's pretty terrible, actually.
That's right. Milwaukee's the way forward.
Milwaukee's the way forward. Milwaukee
100%.
gives you, instead of the 2 years, it gives you 5 years. It's just better quality, more torque, and cheaper. Like, why would you?
Yeah, why would you go elsewhere?
Yeah, please sponsor us. But yeah, any other car I regret selling? Not really. I don't mind that I sold my 300ZXs. I don't mind that I sold my Hondas. I don't mind that I sold my...
Oh, no, sorry. We have to finish this off on one thing. RE30.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, I do.
Sorry, this is turning into an E30 episode now, isn't it? But
look, we've had between us 5 E30s. Like I've had 3 myself. And you've had 2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
3.
Yeah.
Red one.
So, yeah. Okay. So 5 E30s. Yeah. 5 E30s we've had between us 2. And that red E30 was actually...
It was so clean.
I think that was the cleanest E30.
That was literally the cleanest E30. We paid, I think, $900 for it or something, or $1,000.
Yeah.
And
$900, I think.
We planned on actually swapping it. And the leather interior, I forgot about that.
Yeah, and we were the second or third owner.
Third owner of it as well.
Yeah.
And it just needed a new gearbox to be swapped into it.
Yeah, it was automatic. So from day one, we didn't love it. We bought it to flip it. And it had an automatic gearbox that was blown. So all it needed was a new gearbox. We got the new gearbox for free.
Yeah.
We had almost everything to swap it in. We were also thinking about ideas of manual swapping it or whatever. But it just sat in your garage. So
pretty much for like a year.
So we didn't have many tools there. I didn't have much time to go and do anything. So we didn't have to actually touch it. It sat in your garage for a year. And then
we sold it for $2,000.
We just said... Well, let's just see how much we get for it if we were to sell it, and we sold it for a massive profit.
Yeah.
Well,
was it percentage wise? Pretty. It was a
massive profit, but money wise, like that $2,000 was nothing.
No, it was nothing.
Like
we should have kept it.
I think it was more than $2,000. I think it was like $2,200, and you gave me $1,100, and you took $1,100 or something, and that $1,100 was nothing. Like if we kept it today, it would have been more value for fun, like for us. It would have been more value in everyday driving for us.
Yeah.
Like you could have driven it on the weekend. I could have driven it on the weekdays. Like it would have been a perfect daily for me.
It would have made so much sense.
Perfect daily for me, perfect weekender for you. Like it would have done everything that we wanted it to today. And in hindsight, we just didn't know. And we were like, well, if we ever need another one, we'll just get another one. But,
and that's
now
they're just not like that anymore.
If you do get a clean one like that, they want like $40,000 for it or something ridiculous.
If anyone has a clean E30 shell, by the way, that's listening or watching.
No one wants to sell it.
And you want to sell it, can you please get in contact with us? We'll have you on the podcast. Would like to talk to you about the E30. And what we could possibly do to it. Yeah.
I mean, you'll see all the updates. We'll take videos of it, build it, and
for the content, come on.
For the content. I don't think...
But I think I'm pretty much right. Like, for me, I'm pretty content with where I'm at. Like, yes, I regret selling my cars, but I think I'm really happy to where I've ended up. And, like, I've stuck pretty loyal to BMW through the years.
Yes. I mean, you just have a newer E30 now.
Well, that's the reason I got it, because
You
it was
haven't
literally like a modern E30.
Yeah, you haven't really changed much.
No, I haven't.
I haven't changed much. I still have 90s crap boxes.
Yeah, 90s crap boxes, exactly what I was going to say.
I have 2 crap boxes that pop up headlights. So, like the essence is still there of old cars. And 2 of my cars are rear-wheel drive manual. The Evo is there in essence of the S14 in some way or another, just bigger and better. But I've done the same mods to it that I did with my S14. I've done the exact same everything and replicated it and made more power out of it. So I don't. As much as I regret,
I'm sorry to interrupt, but this is such a sad episode.
it is a sad episode for us.
I can't stand it.
The more I think about the cars that I've sold and I've owned, the more I'm like, why did I sell it? Like, was it really worth me getting the couple of $100 or a couple of $1,000 even? Like, in hindsight, that's nothing today. Because I don't know, like some of the cars that I made profits on, like my Supra, I think I got a 2.5K profit.
Yeah.
Who cares? It's a 50K car today.
I know. Doesn't make any difference. Anyways.
Anywho, we're going to leave it on the sad note.
Yeah, we're gonna leave it at that, I think. But we do mean it. If someone does actually have an E30, Shell, preferably Shell,
Alex will buy it.
I will buy it.
Anyway, thanks for listening. Please let us know in the comments if you have any regrets selling any of your cars that are now your dream cars and you want to buy them back.
Send us photos as well. We do want to see.
Yeah, I think if you DM us on Instagram at the Automotive Society _ or if you, I don't know, have a channel and link it to us or something, like I'm sure we can check it out.
Yeah, 100%.
We'll give you a rating, a thumbs up or a thumbs down. If it's JDM, prepare to get thumbs down from Alex.
No. Thumbs up. Always. Car enthusiasts, thumbs up. All the time.
Yeah, it's not going to be. Anyway, the point is,
if it's about 86s, thumbs down.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of unanimous votes there, but I like him. I still like him. Thumbs up. Thank you all for listening, and
So creepy.
we'll catch you next time. Thank
See
you.
ya.